Today, similar to what I've done before, several times, again, a bit of discussion, a bit of uh, strategy, or like basically talking about the game. Right. Obviously, I'll get into some uh, gameplays, but first, I want to talk about some things I learned in the past couple of days, and I think very important, and will definitely help the game a lot, like understanding this mechanic. So basically, it's about how the deck is cycling, about the draw order, and how to control your draws. So what are the basics? Right. So it's pretty simple. So 18 card deck, which you probably learned on the first day, and you draw 5 cards initially, and you play up to 3 cards per turn. So these are what you learn pretty much at the get-go, like from the tutorial of the game, you will gain these information. But what's additional stuff? Right, what's additional stuff? Uh, this is what I learned just a couple of days ago when I was looking this up on the official website of the game, on basically like the rule explanation of the game. So importantly, cards are put back in order. I'll highlight it. Cards are put back in order and from left slot to right slot. Okay, so this means that uh, there's essentially no shuffling, right? You don't put your card back in a random position, or you don't shuffle your deck after you've drawn everything. Everything is just being putting back to like at the bottom of the deck, and the deck cycle that way. And the order is of the 3 cards you play, the left slot will go to the bottom first, and then the middle, and then the right. Okay. So what does this mean in actual gameplay? Because of all these things, right? How the game works, we can understand that uh there are several things, right? There are several things. So first, you want to cycle. Mostly, you want to cycle 3 cards per turn, right? Because again, this is a pretty straightforward concept. The earlier you can cycle your cards, the earlier you put your important card back, powerful card back, the earlier you can draw them back and have another go at the important and powerful effects. So, assuming you cycle 3 cards per turn, and which usually is what's happening, because obviously playing 3 cards, you already have more power than playing 2 cards, and obviously you want to have more power, right? So, cycle 3 cards per turn, what does that leave us? A card on the left and center slots will be drawn again in 5 turns. Okay? This is very important because this actually means, like at the beginning, I thought, oh, obviously at 18 card uh deck, on average, you need 6 turns to shuffle to cycle the deck once, right? Because you play 3 cards, 3 times 6 is 18. But because there's no shuffling, everything is just in order, that means the left 2 cards can actually be drawn back 1 turn earlier, on turn 5 in 5 turns. So this certainly means, for example, important card in the deck I'm using, like the Dark Web, very powerful effect, and Barnstorming, very powerful effect. Like these cards, I definitely want to draw early as possible and want to draw them again early as possible. So most likely I want to, if I'm to play them, I want to play them on the left 2 slots, right? And so obviously, if the left 2 slots, the left and center slots, they will drawn in 5 turns, then the right slots is going to be drawn in 6 turns, right? So if there's a card that you don't really care if you draw it that early, right? Just play it on the right slot. Okay. And then obviously there's more implication than that. So now that we know when we're gonna draw cards, we need to consider at the beginning of the game, maybe you want to draw your engine cards or your boosting cards. Alright, for example, I want to draw my Dark Web as early as possible. I want to draw my Satellite System, the Barai, or as early as possible because I can play them again and gain those boost. They can apply the boost to my deck as early as possible, and obviously the earlier they apply the boost, the earlier you can have the boost and have more power, right? But later on in the game, obviously I may not want to draw them because these cards themselves are pretty low in terms of power. And for example, if I draw this, it's already round 5, turn 3, and if I draw Barrel Eye, if I draw Satellite System, I'll be pretty sad. But because I'm not gonna play them, they probably only play for like 100 points or something in that turn, and it's definitely not something that I want to see. I want to play my strong, I want to play my powerful aviation cards. Okay, so consider what card you want to draw back, what card you want to draw back early, what card you want to maybe save, what card you want to avoid, even. And then also another thing is on I didn't write it down, but on round 4, turn 1, this is the last turn that you make a decision on your draw order, because after that you won't see the cards again you play again. It will be basically the last round of play, or the last cycle of play. Right, so after that you can just play whatever you want, play your strong and powerful cards. You don't need to worry about drawing anything again because you won't draw anything again. And so also very importantly, you need to understand what's going to be drawn on your last turn of the game, right? So round 5, turn 3, right? You draw the card that you play on the right slot in turn 3, round 3, and the left card you played on the 2 left slots on turn 1, round 4. So again, maybe I mentioned that obviously, like in any other round, you will know if you are paying attention, and if you want to actually remember everything, you can know what you're going to draw. But this is important just because round 5, turn 3 is usually, it's especially against a lot of human players, usually what's deciding the game. So sometimes setting up yourself nicely so that you can draw the cards you want to draw, that will help you in those situations. Okay, and what's last takeaway? Again, uh, kind of controlling when on what turn you'll be drawing your cards. So I'll give an example and will make it very obvious. For example, the Charles Lindbergh. The effect is draw. If you're losing the round, your cards in hand gain 35 this turn. So it just based on the effect, it becomes quite obvious that you don't want to draw this card on turn 1 of a round, right? Just because on turn 1 of a round, it's going to be a tie, and if it's a tie, this effect won't trigger, and basically the card effect doesn't really do anything. So you definitely want to avoid that. And so smart card manipulation, you can try to, I would usually put this for a round 3 draw because it can give me the tempo that I need to win that round. But drawing round 2 or round 3 both might work, right? So that's one example. And another one is the red arrows, right? Obviously, this has a potential to work on any round, but again, if this is drawn on round 1 of a turn, any turn, right? On turn 1 of a round, this is guaranteed to work, right? This is guaranteed to work because it says if you're not losing the round, you can gain extra 7. It's not a lot, it's not as much as Lindenberg, but like guarantee drawing this on turn 1 of a round, it's basically guaranteed 21 points, right? And obviously, like these little points, they can accumulate and impact the game, especially in closer games. Right, so those are the kind of things that you may want to consider, you may want to think. And also, obviously, another thing is you want to draw your combo together, right? So, for example, here, the right flyer and the balloon. So obviously, usually I would want to play these two on the left two slots so that I will draw them together in one round and I don't need to hold a card, or I don't have to wait for a turn and play it. So yeah, when building the deck, when playing, mostly when in actual gameplay, think about those information. Think about when a certain card is to be drawn, a certain card should be avoided, what turn of a round do you want to draw it, and sometimes it can be, oh, maybe I want more tempo on round 3, on turn 3, or it may be like, oh, maybe that's a round I'm gonna give up, and then I want my boosting card on round 3, and I'll just play my boosting card and fight another round. So decision making, well, obviously can get quite complicated, and obviously in games sometimes I'm not saying that I always make the optimal decision, but again, I think these information can help you making that decision. I can help you understand the game better, pretty much. Okay, so I think that's pretty much all I want to cover. That's the essential of things. Basically, the drawing of this game pretty straightforward. Again, because there's no shuffling, but then it gives you the opportunity to manipulate, to control how you cycle your deck, what card you draw, what combo you pull, things like that. And keeping those in mind can definitely help you a lot in actual gameplay.